Nancy Guthrie's suspected kidnappers are reportedly asking for $6 million via Bitcoin. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, our former colleague here, explained that that request for cryptocurrency might indicate a high degree of sophistication from those abductors.
I believe they're very sophisticated in terms of, the IP address using VPNs, messages that could be going through other countries and other IP addresses. Then, it's not the old money drop anymore. It's Bitcoin, the Bitcoin wallet. Then it goes through a blockchain. It could go through other countries. There was a lot of thought that went into this. They're using, technology today. Old crimes are being committed in new ways because of advanced technology. It's hard for us to figure this out.
Well, with us now is award-winning tech journalist, the cyber guy, Kurt Knudsen. Kurt, all right, walk us through how difficult it might be for authorities to trace Bitcoin as opposed to traditional payments.
Well, we originally thought, Guy, how are you? We originally thought that Bitcoin was sort of untraceable. But there have been some cases that have proven otherwise. So there is actually a way to trace it, not always, but many times. And it doesn't happen overnight. Many times it happens weeks, months, sometimes years after an event when authorities were able to get access to it. The event that really showed us all of this was the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a ransomware attack on this part of our oil infrastructure in the States. They went ahead and paid it, but what was interesting is they were able to get about 80% of it back, and that's highly unseen in the sort of cryptocurrency world. And the way they did that is, like the Guthries, if indeed this does happen, if indeed they convert $6 million in U.S. currency into essentially a wallet of Bitcoin, and then they send that over to whoever these kidnappers are, and they then receive that, they've got to figure out what to do with it once they've got it. And that's where the real traceability comes into play. And it may be that it sits there for a month or 2 months or 3 months or beyond, and it may be that it's transferred to 4 parties or 400 parties. But what happens is when investigators stay on it, there usually is a real great benefit to tracking Bitcoin. And that is, when Bitcoin is used, since there's no real, there's no bank associated with it, there's no government associated with it, but the way it works is it's a very public-facing transaction. So they can continue to watch this money well after it is sent. And that might be some hope later down the road at A, finding out who did this, and B, getting some of that money back.
Yeah, that's an important point. I want to ask you about the communications and the cyber of it all as it relates to that. So the fact that they've received these ransom communications, and again, we've had several experts saying that we don't know of the authenticity of these communications, but they've received communications. How difficult would it be for investigators and the FBI, with all of their resources and all of their technology, to trace the communications themselves back to whoever's sending them? That's a part of this that I find really interesting, that they've received communications, and with all that technology, they still can't figure out who's sending them. They can't track them.
And that tells us the level of sophistication of who we're dealing with. So it makes me think, as a cyber guy, like this rings so closely to how ransomware attacks work. And this works where they're cloaking email. And that's what they're doing. They're cloaking an email, so it may send it from here to here to here to here to here, and it's a bunch of nonsense destinations. But at the end of the day, it gets where it's going, but it makes it incredibly difficult to track that email message. Not impossible, but incredibly difficult.
Kurt, could you do it? I'm sorry to jump on Joey there, but I'm just wondering, you're the cyber guy. If they brought you in, could you do it?
No, I don't have that, but I'll tell you who does. And there really is no better organization than the FBI globally at pulling apart this data and really deciphering what they're trying to get out of it. Not only when it comes to Bitcoin, but also when you're talking about 41 cell phone towers within 3 miles of the Guthrie house in Tucson. You've also got about 202 to 204, depends on who you look at for the count, of automatic license plate readers. And they're combing through this data. And then, something interesting is even though a video camera may not on our app tell us that it saw anything, if it's our camera, it doesn't mean that it wasn't logging something not worth telling us. So investigators have a real talent at taking apart these logs of devices that are very common in our lives and then pouring that data into AI now and saying, what do we have here? What patterns are we seeing here? What cameras activated at least the idea that there was something to look at, but not enough to present it to the person who owned it and has an app? So it's a lot of stuff there that's, it may seem like nobody's doing anything right now, but I'll tell you right now, they are very busy with all of this data behind the scenes. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Kurt, this is kind of a simple question, but I think it really, we can sit here and try to solve this case all night long, and in some ways we will, and we won't be able to. But we have 1 million people watching this right now, millions that are wondering how this connects to their lives. We talk about how these kidnappers, if they exist, are sophisticated in the sense that they have masked their IP address and use Bitcoin. My question to you is, do you have to be knowledgeable in these things to be able to do this? Or can you just open up and have a conversation with ChatGPT and learn how to do this? Well, I mean, can open AI sources now tell you how to do this?
Joey, really good question. These people know what they're doing. This isn't something they just read yesterday on ChatGPT and said, oh, this is how I do it. No, you've got some people that know what they're up to, whether they have done a kind of, physical ransom like this with a human being and, from someone who's loved in America, a mother of that person, to really, the question is, why did they target that? But yes, they have indeed the skill set in place here. And I might, if I were an investigator, be looking back saying, all right, what rings a bell of someone who knows this much stuff about, this level of sophistication? And that, for me, it goes back to a lot of cyber crimes that have cost companies, not individual families, millions of dollars.
Kurt, really appreciate your time. A lot of really interesting insights there that we'll be, I'm sure, discussing at the table here over the course of the program. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.